Nicole, and welcome to Nurse Connect. I am an RN and a board certified nurse coach. I believe that connecting with others is essential to living a happy and fulfilled life, and that sharing our stories not only helps us to heal ourselves, but also helps others by inspiring hope and optimism. I am so grateful to share stories of these incredible nurses on their journey, and I encourage you to find a way to share yours too. Thanks for listening in. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Jen Mall with Nurse Connect Podcast, and I am very excited to have Nicole here with me today. You're like one of my podcast girl crushes, I have to admit. I love listening to your podcast. So thank you for agreeing to be on mine.
I'm super excited to be here. I love what you're doing. I love how you're sharing nurses' stories. I mean, the only way that people will begin to really truly understand what we go through on a daily basis is to have these avenues in which we can share our stories and connect with each other and, have consumers really grasp what it is that we do.
That means a lot. Thank you very much, because that's definitely my intention behind it. And it's really been pretty cool to share stories, but also just get to know people that in a way that I've never been able to connect with before. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes.
So, but we're here to talk about you. So I'm going to turn this back on you. I would love for you to share with us, how did you become a nurse? How did you get started? What's your path been? Where are you at now?
Yes. So when I went through college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. It was kind of one of those decisions where you know that you're supposed to do the thing, do the college, go to college. I thought I wanted to be a scientist. I was thinking biology at that time. So I went to all the biology classes in the science, doing the prerequisites and so forth. And I realized that, one, I was not prepared. I was not prepared for college level calculus.
Yeah. Oh
I was not prepared for college level biology, even though I went to a really great high school. But when I got into the college setting, coming from a smaller high school that was a lot more touch, and arriving into these huge classrooms with people you didn't know, seeing the tiny little professor at the end of the classroom and feeling like you were just a number in those spaces, I sort of lost my fire, my steam for what it was that I wanted to do. And my sister was going to nursing school at the time. My sister's, she's 8 years older than me. It was a second career for her. And she was in nursing school. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. She's doing that. I don't really know what it was. And it's funny I say that because I found myself kind of just going back in time a little bit, contemplating like, how did you even figure out you're going to be a nurse? And I just could not help but remember back when I was a young girl, and I would visit anybody who was sick. I would visit them in the hospital because my mom, she's so amazing. She just loves her family. She supports all cousins and aunties, and so we would go and we would visit anyone who ended up in the hospital, and we'd share time with them. At the time I was learning how to play the violin. So mom, she says, well, just bring your violin. And I'm like, oh, I'm not even that good, but I decided, well, yes, I'll bring my violin and I'll play for my auntie who was sick in the hospital. And I remember the nurses coming in and out and, just really helping my aunt. Yeah. And I really remember all of that. And then they also really appreciated my horrible violin as I played on the hospital.
Oh,
and they just came in and they just said, oh my gosh, this is so amazing to have music, real live music. And I didn't know it at the time, but I think that was the beginning of me realizing that I could use music, that I could use movement, that I could use myself as a potential catalyst for healing.
Wow.
So as I like think back to all of that, it was started probably about them. And I didn't know it at the time, though. I didn't know that I had such holistic roots because my background is intensive care. So but I didn't realize that until just maybe a year ago, like, oh my gosh, no, this goes way, way further back. But I ended up following my sister's footsteps is what I thought. And then I also took the same program that she took. So that's how I ended up in nursing. But I really, now I think the roots are really when I was a young girl and being in the hospital and visiting my sick aunties and uncles and just being with them in the way that I could be as a young girl and just listen to stories and be available for them.
Oh, I just love that. And how almost it's come kind of full circle, just watching your journey unfold and seeing how you use music and movement in a holistic way to help heal people. It's that's pretty neat to think back. That was the root of how that all kind of started. That's cool.
Yeah. And I do have to credit my discovering of this route to another nurse coach, which is Holly Kapuzinski,
Oh,
because she
cool.
really asked me some pointed questions, to really help me dive back and see, where this really came from, because so much of what we do in life in general is rooted in our childhood.
Oh,
And
for sure.
show up and all of that. So, I really appreciate her asking me some really great questions to help me access that and recall those memories for me. It was really,
Yeah.
really important for me to understand that.
Oh, I love that. So tell me a little bit of how you went from you got out of school. Did you go right into the ICU? What was your traditional bedside nursing journey like?
Yes. So I am a Canadian nurse.
Okay.
So I grew up in Canada. I was in the Canadian healthcare system, which at the time was not really conducive to regular schedule, because at that point, which was 3 decades ago, I didn't have a full-time job. I was really working a per diem basis, and it was really unpredictable how many hours I would work, how much money I would make. I would go in at 7 a.m. thinking I was working at 12, and they'd send me home at 11, ask me to come back at 11 p.m. So I was really all over the place. And that to me was not real stability. And I really needed to have stability, especially as a newer graduate of nursing. We need that stability and understanding and patience with ourselves. So many things we need. But anyways, so
stability is a good one.
Yeah, my sister was in Las Vegas, Nevada. She had been bugging me when I graduated. Come move here. And I was like, no, I want to stay in Canada. Well, then the one day she called and she said, come move here. And I was like, no. And she's like, well, I'm pregnant. And I was like, oh my gosh. Yes. Okay. If you can find me a job, then I'll go there. Well, I swear to goodness, she hung up the phone and called me back within 10 minutes to tell me, I found you a job. You're going to move here.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I ended up, I didn't know, I didn't have a place that I wanted to do. Like I didn't feel like really called to anything at that time. But she found me a job in the intensive care unit. I knew nothing of intensive. I knew nothing. I did work a little bit in a step down unit, but I really knew nothing about intensive care. And so she said, well, they're going to put you through an education program. It was very intense. It was like 3 or 4 or 5, maybe it was 6. It was 6 months of, in classes, in on the floor and practicing and learning and everything. And I can recall the first day we had to take a test, and it was about all ICU things. And I got the lowest grade. I really knew nothing. And I thought, oh my God, they're going to kick me out. They're going to kick me out. You know nothing. And you're going to send you back to Canada. Yeah. What do they teach you in Canada? But what really happened was that was just like a baseline. Like, let's see where you're at. Let's see what we need to teach you.
Good.
And so what happened from there was that they were just really, truly supportive. And they used that as like, okay, these are the things you don't know, which is all everything.
Yeah.
So let's like give you, rudimentary basic things so that you learn and build on that foundation.
Beautiful.
It was a beautiful experience for me. It really, really helped me. And it helped me feel like, okay, you're not a dummy. You just don't know that because you've never been exposed to it. Right. So how could you know it? And so I ended up learning all the things, and I just fell in love with intensive care, fell in love with really fast paced, having to think on your feet, a lot of critical thinking, a lot of complex ideas and, ways of doing. And by the end, I ended up with the highest grade in the class
Of course
because
you
I just
did.
loved it so much.
Yeah.
But I don't think that that would have happened if they didn't really just love on me. This was a space that really was supportive and really truly wanted me to be successful. So I really accepted that and really worked hard to achieve that grade. And then, of course, you're never done learning. You're never done learning. There's so much to learn. But that's where I ended up. But that's where I stayed for probably 15 years in different intensive cares, all the different styles, from trauma to neurotrauma to surgical ICUs, medical ICUs to burn ICUs to all of the ICUs, and traveling around the country, traveling to different ICUs. One place I worked probably at 20 different intensive care units, to the point of like, I didn't even know how to turn on the soap or the water in some units. Like, it was like I was thrown into stuff, and I built my resilience that way. And to some degree, I didn't need that much resilience. Yeah, because I was faced with so many different things all the time. And I really thought I was doing fine. I thought I was doing great. And what ended up happening for me, I say for me now.
It takes a while to get there, but
yeah, I say for me, was that I had that ICD-10 code of burnout. I got that big old code on my heart, that I'm a burned out intensive critical care nurse. And I've done a lot of work on healing myself. And sometimes I get to the point of realizing that I fall back into old patterns. And I just step up again and just, hey, listen to myself, honor myself, come back to me. It's a continuous journey.
It sure is.
I think it's like, if you have cardiovascular disease, you never get rid of it.
Right.
You can mitigate it. You can take action, and you have to, like, you really do, if you want to heal. And I truly believe that I've been doing that for many years, and trying to support myself and learning healing modalities, and then sharing them with people as I go along, and, finding joy in that. But I do find myself on occasion, more than once or twice or 15 times or 50, I don't know, but returning back to some of those old patterns and catching myself. But I will say I catch myself now.
Yeah, same over here. I'll find myself, like you said, just drowning and struggling. I'm like, what's going on? And then I'm like, oh, fell back into those bad habits. Okay, let's pick up those bootstraps. Let's try again. And it is just this constant cycle of learning and growing and developing and loving on yourself and giving yourself that grace. And it's hard.
Yeah. So true. So true. Yeah. Well, never really go away. And I still think it's like, it's a good thing that happened, even though it was really hard, and it still can be. But it does allow me to do the work that I do now very authentically, and come from a place of really truly understanding, where people can feel those feelings of true, like thinking you love something and then falling into like, oh my God, I don't really care about that, or I feel so anxious about that thing I loved. What is going on? Or wanting to sleep all the time, or just barely making it to work because you just feel like you're dragging your ass around. Like all of those things. And it was something that you just were so jazzed about at one point in time.
Yeah. And it's so disheartening. In that space. So I know you're kind of a nurse coach pioneer. So share with me, how did you find coaching? What has that been like for you?
Well, I'll say, when I thought that I was just being a bad nurse, I thought I had just become a cold-hearted biatch nurse. And I left the bedside. I left hospital completely and took a job at the local YMCA.
Oh my gosh.
So I took a job. What? I know. I took a job as the health and wellness director of one of the local YMCAs where I worked in Fort Worth, Texas, because I really just thought that I had lost all of this love for the profession that I had dedicated my life to. It was during that time, I was there for 6 months, and I realized that, you didn't really lose your love for nursing. You're just burned out. You're sick.
Yeah.
You're sick. You're going through this time in your life. You need help. But while I was in that mode, I was thinking about advancing my degree, which is one of the first things that I realized that I didn't want to leave nursing, because here I am looking at nursing things all the time. Like, whoa, what's going on here while I'm working at the Y?
Yeah.
And I came across an article by Dr. Barbara Dossi, one of the co-pioneers.
Yeah,
original,
truly a pioneer nurse coach.
Yeah. What do you call that? I forget what that word is, where she's one of the number ones, right? Back when figuring out how nurses can do this, and how nurses can be really, not only can they do this, but we're supported by theories, we're supported by concepts and tools and coaching modalities, all the things, right? Yeah. And putting that into the language of nursing. So Dr. Barbara Dossi wrote this article with Susan Luck. May she rest in peace. One of my sisters, of course, and Barbie is too. But and it was all about nurse coaching. I didn't know what it was at the time. I just found myself at the computer reading this with open eyes and open heart and in tears, really, because it really called to me as far as my coupling of what I had been doing all of my nursing career, which was movement as personal trainer, group fitness instructor. I was a national trainer for a group fitness organization where I trained adults how to teach group fitness.
So cool.
And I did that all along my nursing career. So not only was I doing my 12-hour shifts, I was doing this on the weekends, but I really loved it. So I was doing both. And I thought, oh, well, this is how I can just like pull in my wellness and do this as a nurse too. So I signed up. I talked to my husband first, because, at the time, this is probably almost 12 years ago. And this was not a thing. Yeah. It was, I was in cohort number 4 of the Integrative Nurse Coaching Academy, which is what was once called the International Nurse Coach Association. And, cohort 4 was quite a long time ago. And, my husband, he's like, what is going on? Like, what is it? I said, I'm crying to him. I really want to do this class. He's like, if you want to do this, then let's make it happen.
I love that.
But I'm going to have to pay the money. I'm going to have to go to New York City 3 times. I'm going to have to pay blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh my gosh, let's do it. So we did it. So
that's awesome.
My husband is one of my biggest supporters.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do any of this without him. So he has been one of my cheerleaders, my biggest supporters, my biggest love. And so I show up at this event, not knowing anything and thinking that I'm going to learn the coaching, teach me the coaching. And the very first thing we do, and I always laugh at the story myself because of myself and my critical care background and protocol driven. Let's learn the stuff.
Yes.
Let's get it done. And we show up and we're all of a sudden into mindfulness and doing meditation. And
so tell me how you feel.
Oh my God. I'm like, what the F is this? This is not what I signed up for. I swear to goodness, I was done the first day. I went in my room. I called my husband. I'm leaving. This is not for me. This is not what I signed up for. This is not what my vision of coaching is. This is baloney, whatever. I don't care that we spent this money. I don't care. I was sitting on my computer crying. We're not going to do this. So, and he's like, what are you talking about? You go back tomorrow and you get your money's worth. If nothing else, you're going to get your money's worth. So I went back with that intention, which now I think is hilarious because I have so many other much more deeply rooted intentions for what I do. But I went there. Barbie says, come to the front. I would love to do a coaching model. I would love to coach someone and show you what this is. So I raise my hand, I go to the front, and Barbie starts to coach with me. Coach me.
That's cool.
Coach me. And I am like, when I talk about this, every single time I talk about this, this goes so deep for me because it was the first time that really someone listened to me in the way that she did. I've had a lot of people listen to me. Yeah. But she was going to places in my heart, in my mind, in my spirit that no one had really touched on or accessed before. And so that for me was the biggest turning point in my career, personally and professionally, both, because I saw, I felt, experienced to the minutest cell of how much this deep listening, how much presence, how much just honoring the person you're across from can shift the person being coached.
Yeah.
And she is the model. And that experience is the model that I have in the back of my mind, in my heart, every time I'm with someone in a coaching experience.
That is pretty amazing. Wow. I just think how neat that would have been to have been in that space. And my program was absolutely amazing and I'm super grateful for it. But to have been there with the pioneers truly in our specialty of this profession, because it is a nursing specialty. And that is really a pretty remarkable experience. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. So where's coaching taken you?
All around, all over the place. It's funny because I was talking with a newer nurse coach graduate, and today, which I often get emails, I often get connections to just touch base with me, and I actually offer, I truly, there's one thing that I think that I have a huge strength in, that is in supporting fellow nurses who are seeking this kind of work. And I'm not looking for money. I'm not looking for this to be the business side of things. Like, I do have a business, I do have all of that, but in this instance, and for many nurses that I've connected with over the years, is truly to create that space that we can have a conversation about whatever it is that they want to, right? I mean, they're going to connect with me. Some of them want to know about business. Some of them want to know about my journey. Some of them want to know about how they can use nurse coaching. Maybe they haven't even taken the class yet. Maybe they have, right? So, but today was one of the fun things, was someone who had taken the course a few years ago and she said, well, I've not really done anything with it yet. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. First of all, once you've taken nurse coaching courses, you change. You really change in the way that you approach your patients, your family, yourself.
Yeah, how you listen, how you be with others, how you be with yourself.
I mean, so to say that you're not haven't been using it is not true, because you're using it every day, and you're not acknowledging that, like, you're really using it every day. So please say that you've been using it every day, because you have. So you've been gaining this experience all along. But then the next thing is, like, how do I start this business? And then trying to narrow it down, because we all have so many crazy, I don't say crazy, but I don't mean crazy. I mean, like, there's such vast openness for this, which then connected me back to, like, oh my gosh, through my journey, I've really experienced so many different things. And I started off thinking I wanted to do one thing, and then it morphed into something else. And I realized, well, I like those people and I enjoyed that, but I really feel myself called this way. So awesome. I would go that way. And then I realized, oh, but I really like this, and this is calling me in another way. So I would build on the skills, right? And so I've changed my niche many, many times. And I feel like that has been good. And it had also been a little bit of a challenge, because I've almost started over again. I've also moved physical locations numerous times as well. So I've lived in Texas, and then I moved to Washington State, and then I moved to Arizona State. So I've felt like I have been restarting, even though, I definitely have an online presence. But I really feel like I want to be in-person presence.
Yeah, that in-person connection. Yeah.
Like, I really thrive in an in-person connection. So, I've been through the whole gamut of, coaching everybody to narrowing down to, I loved active aging adults. So I did that for a while. Then I find myself moving into nursing and nursing burnout, which is what I do now. And I'm coupling that with my newest love, And because I am also experiencing this is going through the stages of menopause
Yeah.
and realizing that there isn't really much support for
No.
yeah. So all of us midlife women, I was looking up the
Yeah.
numbers just a few minutes ago, just writing something. It's like 3.95 billion women right now on this planet, and all of us will be going through menopause at some
Right.
point.
Right.
If they haven't already, they're going to be going through it, or they have gone through it.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I really feel called to support women in this transition, coupling that with nurse well-being as well, because the majority of nurses are women.
And a lot of them in midlife.
Yes, in midlife. And we're going through these phases that really affect us and change us and impact us in the way that we do our work.
Absolutely.
Not only at work, but then at home too, and at play, even all of the things, all of us, it really affects us. So I've been called to that. I've been really called to that. So that's where I've kind of now focused my trajectory into doing.
Oh, I love it. Thank you for being such a open example of the variety, not just within nursing, but also within nurse coaching. And I'm multi-passionate as well. And I love when other people are just transparent about it, because I'm like, great, I don't feel so crazy that I have all these different things that I love to do and feel really called and pulled to do. But then it's also, okay, well, what's realistic to do right now and what maybe needs to wait till later. So I'm still very much learning to do that.
Right. And then also our messaging just becomes a little bit cleaner, more easy to kind of, our messaging as far as marketing and like who we're being called to talk to in the marketing perspective becomes clearer. But it's a journey. And why do we have to feel like we need to be pigeonholed into something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen. That's right. And at the same time, I will say, because in this particular case where I was talking to about this nurse today, was like, I have so many ideas that I just can't get started. And I'm like, okay, let's help with that, because we need to get started, right? We got to get everybody started, because if we don't get started, we have all these, you have all these knowledge and wisdom that you can share, and you're just not able to share because you just can't get started.
100%. I definitely get that. Yeah.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So where do you see yourself, right? So right now, like you kind of mentioned where you've been at, where do you see yourself moving forward with coaching, with nursing, with life? What's next for you?
Yeah. So I've been blessed to be here in this new community here in Tucson, Arizona. And I came across this sign probably about maybe a year and a half ago when I was here, because I was really being called to help support women, nurses, midlife women. And I was in the store, I think it was Big Lots. I don't know if you know Big Lots.
Yeah.
But they had this sign, it was like, it says, create the things you wish existed. It's a simple sign. And I thought to myself, well, that's what you're doing. You're creating the things you wish existed. And what would happen if you really created something? So I was like, okay, well, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been creating, I've been doing things. And I was looking for, what I found in my heart was that I wanted to have a spot, a place, like a brick and mortar, like a physical location where these amazing women could come together. So I worked for a long time. I felt like I was like, over a period of time, stumbling a lot. Like I would I had certain requirements that I wanted to have for this spot. I didn't want to be in a strip mall. I wanted to, I just wanted it to be a very healing. I didn't need it to be in a hospital, because gosh, most nurses don't want to have anything to do with hospital after their shift. Right. Yeah. So I wanted it to be something healing. In a house would be great. All these little ticks so I would find some things, and commercial real estate is different than buying a house, way different. I had no idea. I learn as I go, as I go. I've been learning as I go the whole time that I've been in this nurse coaching role, and I will continue to do so. Yeah. Because I don't know everything. I will never know everything, and I'm open to learning it. I'm also open to hearing other people's experiences and learning with them, from them. So So every place that I found would just fall through and just fall through and just fall through for all kinds of reasons. I didn't even know some of those reasons existed, but they did. And so these things fell through. I ended up saying, you know what, this isn't the thing. This just isn't the thing. Even though you really feel passionate about creating this dream of yours and creating the thing that you wish existed, because you fell into burnout, you didn't have anyone to support you, you didn't feel like you had a community around you to lift you up. You wanted to do those things for other people, but you just are not finding that spot. So I said, you know what, I'm holding on too tight. I'm just forcing, I'm trying to make this happen. And I just had to let it go. And I was sad about that because I was like jazzed. I like had all my business plan, all everything created, you know. And I let it go. And then months passed, and I was finding some other things to do and just, you know, focusing on some different things. And I came across a place, and this is just a couple weeks ago, and I couldn't have imagined such a sweet place. And I don't want to say too much.
Don't
You know what? I'm just going to trust. I'm trusting yes. At this point, but I don't have a lease signed, but I keep in the landlord keeps texting me because
Awesome.
he just keeps in touch with me. And we are just working our way through establishing a really great relationship with someone who is like me, who is open, who is kind, who is not in it for all of the money. And yes, we need to make money and need to give money and all of that. But yeah, so that's my vision. My new business, I have two businesses now. My original business is called Blue Monarch Health. It's a professional license, so a PLLC. Because I wanted to be known, nurses to be known alongside lawyers, alongside physicians, alongside chiropractors. I wanted it to be a PLLC. It was very purposeful, and I had to fight for that in the state of Texas, by the way. And now my second business here in Arizona, which now actually Blue Monarch Health has moved to Arizona. But my second business, in-person business, is called Restoration Room for midlife women well-being. And of course, nurses are in brackets around that.
Yes, sure.
So that is my newest, latest, and greatest. It's a work in progress. It's creating this thing I wish existed for me.
Yes.
And creating it for others.
Oh, I absolutely love that. I'm so excited. And when you get your place up and running, I am going to find a way to come down there.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so excited. I've watched your journey. And this is also on my very high level vision, is to have a brick and mortar place. And I envision it to be something with multiple, like a collaborative with different healthcare, like yoga and Reiki and nurse coaching and chiropractic and supplements and like crystals and like all kinds, like everything in one space as a collaborative place for healing. And also I'm a nurse educator by background. So I see training, like CE classes and stuff like that. So retreats, all this stuff. So I just love that, to see your perseverance with this and keeping your dream alive, but also, like you said, kind of like trusting that it's going to work out. It's just beautiful to watch your journey.
Thank you. And yes, my goodness, you're not very far away. So you could come and you could host a little retreat.
Yes.
Here, the location has a little hotel across the street, and
awesome.
It's got these beautiful wood ceilings. It's just so sweet. But I do see this as a place for practitioners to come in. I mean, I see it as a place for people to share their gifts. Like, come here, come share your gifts. We will fill the room with people who want to hear from you and people who see you as a priority in their life, and they want to learn from you and with you, and you want to share your gifts with them. And, you know, I feel like we can support each other on whole other levels, not just like in that space, but I think just in general as nurses, and just coming together and sharing our love for what we do and humanity in general.
Beautiful. Oh, so excited for you. This is awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, as we're kind of wrapping up, I want to give you an opportunity. Is there anything else on your heart or any messages that you'd like to share with nurses, non-nurses, women in midlife, whatever is coming to you right now?
Oh man, thank you. I just took a few deep breaths, closed my eyes, and all I see behind my eyes is like orange and red and like fire. And not fire as destruction, but fire as life. And I think, as we come into these transitions in our life, these big transitions, as women, we forget how much power we have. We just feel like we're going through these physical changes, and what the hell is this? And this is affecting me in such crazy ways. And we become disconnected to our really true authenticness, our true power, our true wisdom. And I want your listeners and anyone listening to just really truly understand that you can tap back into your fire. You can tap back in, close your eyes, take a breath, recall your life experiences, know that you have so much wisdom to share, and that this transition of life is an important one, and it's preparing us for the next stages of our life. And I just know deeply that there is more to come from everyone listening to this podcast. There's more for you, even in the feelings of loss and grief and suffering and change, that we can all take a collective breath and move together, move forward together in whatever capacity that may be.
Thank you for that. Oh, got a little teary-eyed there. I'm so grateful for our connection today. Thank you very much for taking the time out to chat with us today, for sharing your story and just giving us all a bit more hope and inspiration for our day.
Thank you so much. I will have to put one plug in, and that's to listen to the Integrative Nurse Coaches in Action podcast to hear from other inspirational nurses too. And you listen to Jen's guests, who are really amazing, and so much insight and story and love for nursing, and so many varieties of things for nurses to do. And then our podcast too shares stories.
Love it.
That uplift. Yes.
Yeah. And I love that I've been able to have an opportunity to share so many stories specifically with nurse coaches, because it's such a specialty of nursing that a lot of people don't know about. And I really truly feel that nurse coaches are going to change the world. I think it's incredible. And I'm just super grateful for you and all of our other nurses and nurse coach friends.
Yes. And I'm so grateful for you. Keep up this amazing work. I would love to hear the stories and see all the new guests you're having, and keep up this hard work. I know it's hard work. I know it's really hard work. It takes a lot of dedication and time. So thank you so much for all that you do, Jen.
Oh, appreciate it, Nicole. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you.